Have you ever wondered why some people stick to their goals while others seem to always struggle? Have you ever tried to make a positive change in your life, like studying more, not using your phone first thing in the morning, or going to the gym more often, but it doesn't quite seem to last? You're up one day making progress and you're down literally the next day. Now in this video, I'll be sharing with you the secret, the mental unlock that will help you create good habits, and not just creating good habits, but to actually help you stick with them. Now, why do some people find it so easy to achieve their goals, like getting better grades, having that chiseled body, and having mental clarity, while others struggle at the bottom of the class? Some are literally couch potatoes and are junkies for social media. You may find this a bit shocking, but these two classes of people have one thing in common that creates this radically different possibilities. And that, my dear friends, is something called habits. The person that achieves their goals has habits at play that actually make it easier and borderline effortless for them to make continuous progress towards their goals, while others that seem to struggle also have habits at play that take them further and further away from their goals. It then begs the question, why would someone create habits that leads them to becoming unhealthy, unfit, and chronically distracted? Now, to understand the secret of making good habits stick, we need to understand how habits form in the first place. The primary reason why our body creates habits is to actually make the process of meeting our needs much more efficient and streamlined. In our day-to-day activities, we have recurring needs that constantly come up that if we were to utilize conscious effort every single time, it will actually make life more difficult than it already is. So our body creates automatic systems to actually streamline this process. We have recurring needs like the need to be clean, the need to eat, the need to go out and meet other people, and the need for mental stimulation. Take the need to be clean, for example. We create habits like brushing our teeth every morning. Okay, I'm hoping you brush your teeth every morning, right? To meet the needs of nutrition, we create habits of eating breakfast. To meet the needs of going out, we create habits of tying our shoes in a certain way. We have a plethora of habits that we create to actually meet our various day-to-day needs. And all these solutions that we create have one thing in common. They are all automatic and require little to no conscious thought. Without habits, we'll have to expend a lot of mental energy into taking a shower, into brushing our teeth, and even eating. And guys, if you're getting a ton of value from this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. Now let's continue. Now that we know why we have habits in the first place, how can we then create habits to address new needs that may arise in future? Like acing that biochemistry exam that you have due by the end of the semester, or getting a ripped body to impress that girl that you have your eye out for. Now, if you were to go online and do a quick Google search of habits or read any book on habit formation and habits optimization, you would notice a common trend. The traditional way of seeing habits tend to have three main stages, which include the cue or the trigger, the routine or the action, and the reward. Now, the cue is basically what triggers the habit. Like back to my previous example of brushing your teeth. The cue to brushing your teeth would be, I don't know about you, but personally, my cue of brushing my teeth is that when I wake up in the morning, my mouth tends to taste funny. And because of that cue of taste in my mouth, I am forced to go to the bathroom and do the action of brushing my teeth. And after doing that action, I am rewarded by the feeling of having a nice tasting mouth. And not just a nice tasting mouth, and also give me the confidence to go out to talk to people if need be in the morning, and not really be talking in whispers, hoping that the person I'm talking to is not playing a game of breathing and breathe out. If you know, you know. But I noticed something when I tried to use this system to create new habits or needs that do not actually fall into the old patterns that I've created, like studying consistently to ace an exam in the future, or exercising much more regularly and consistently. I found myself having moments of progress, which was then offset by long periods of falling off the horse and literally doing nothing. I constantly kept running into huge setbacks when I tried to create good and consistent habits that I wanted. That is, until I discovered this secret. Now, before we seek out to establish a habit, we tend to forget a fundamental thing, which is the fact that humans are not mindless animals. We are actually very complex thinking beings. Now, our traditional view of habits actually tends to stem from an experiment that was performed by a physiologist known as Ivan Petrovich Pavlov in the 1890s. Now, this experiment involved him creating a conditioned reflex in dogs, basically using a bell which served as the cue, and every time the bell rang, they basically gave the dogs food. Now, over time, these dogs developed the action in response to that cue of salivating. And when they consistently ran this experiment on the dogs, it eventually got to a point where every time the cue was triggered, which is the bell, it led to the action of the animals salivating. Now, when we try to build our habits without accounting the fact that we are actually humans that can think and have emotions, we tend to run into the problem of falling off the horse and getting back again and falling off again. So that begs the question, what exactly are we missing? Now, instead of the traditional way of looking at habit formation of the cue, the routine, and reward, there is another step that takes into account our complexity as humans, which is your mental frame. What is your mental frame, you may ask? Now, your mental frame basically involves your imagination and your emotions towards the routine or action that is required in that habit loop. Now, why this is so important is because whenever we try to create a new habit, our thoughts, our imaginations and feelings towards the action required to keep the habit going is of critical importance to the survival of the habit. There is a saying that when you like what you are doing, you are more likely to stick to it. But another way to actually put this is when you have a positive mental frame to the actions of a habit, we are much more likely to make it stick. When we have negative emotions and associations towards an action, like let's say studying, no matter the cues you use or the reward systems you have in place, you will still always find it difficult to study consistently. We will find ourselves procrastinating and getting distracted, all in a bid to avoid the action of studying. And this even transcends studying. I mean, this is just an example, but any habit that you want to form. So that begs the question, how do we change our mental frames? Now, one of the ways that you can do this is by using your logical mind. Now, as humans, we have a God-given ability. Over the course of a few thousand years, we have developed something called the executive function. Now, the executive function is basically our abilities as humans to override our instinct and basically do things that are logical. In my previous video, 7 things that quickly cured my procrastination, I went into greater detail on how you can actually use your logical mind to change your mental frame. If you're interested, it's actually in the timestamp mental frames of the video. But in a nutshell, it basically involves you creating logical arguments to counteract negative emotions that you feel towards the action involved. And when you can do that, we then have a better picture of what it really takes to make a habit stick, which is the cue, your mental frame, the action or routine, and finally the reward, which then leads us to the next step. How can we apply this loop into our day-to-day lives? Now, I want to introduce a new concept to you known as the 30-day rule. Now, there's a saying that it takes about 21 days to form a habit, and this saying was actually brought about by a plastic surgeon known as Maxwell Maltz in 1950, when after he performed surgeries on his patients like a nose job or for amputee patients when they could not feel their phantom limbs anymore, it usually took about 21 days for them to adjust to their new situations, which led him to actually go on to write a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, where he shared his findings. And this book literally went on to influence self-improvement as we know it. That's what created the whole fad of 21 days to make a habit. Now, fast forward a few decades later, a psychologist known as Philippa Lally made a research experiment on the habits of 98 people over a 12-week period. And what was discovered was that it actually took about 66 days on average for an action to become practically automatic. Now, the thing is that it may take 66 days to form a habit, but to build a system doesn't have to take so long. Hence, the 30-day rule. Now, this 30-day rule involves you creating a lifestyle system that includes this habit into your lifestyle. Now, how do you do this? You are basically an engineer in your own life where you observe yourself for 30 days, taking in data to make your system practically bulletproof and not relying on your body to hopefully, by some chance, like an action. And the thing is that it sometimes will even take more than 66 days for an action to even become automatic. Mind you, I said average. And like James Clear once said, you do not fall to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Now, this 30-day rule system involves 6 steps, which involves your to-do list, a calendar, setting an implementation intention, review, iterate, and repeat. Starting with the first one, to-do list. Now, using your to-do list involves you making a list of activities that you want to carry out or you usually carry out in the day, and most especially including your intended habits into that list of activities. The next step, which is your calendar, is creating a time block on how you intend to utilize your day. Also, specifically, making sure you create a time block for your intended habits. The third step, which is your implementation intention, is being specific and extra detailed on how you intend to perform the desired habit. Take, for example, you want to read more often. You have checked the time you're going to do it on your time block. You then go a step further to decide on where exactly you want to do it, whether it's going to be in the library, in the classroom, or even in your room. Now, when you've set where you're going to do it, you can even go a step further by deciding what exactly you're going to study within that reading time block. Now, the main purpose of setting an implementation intention by being clear on what, how, when you're going to do an action is that when you eventually get to the time where you need to do the habit, doing it becomes basically thoughtless because you have already thought about it beforehand. Which then leads us to the next step, which is the review. Review is basically you going through your day and seeing how you made mistakes or things that could be improved upon in your system, which then leads us to the next step, which is iterate. Iterate is basically you applying all the things that you said you're going to do in the review steps and adjusting your life to match those findings, which then leads us to the last step, rinse and repeat. You just repeat the system, and within the space of 30 days, you would literally have a system that is borderline almost fail-proof for your new habit. And guys, our wisdom nugget for the week goes like this. So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. And guys, if you like this video, I think you're really going to love a video about the 7 things that quickly cured my procrastination. And guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I would love to see what you think about this video. And if you heard things that resonated with you, please share it on the comments below so we can see it and also learn. And with that, guys, remember to always keep it real. Bye, guys.